Welcome to our December edition of Let's Get Growing. And you may think it's a quiet time in the landscape, but there are plenty of things that we need to do, so let's get growing. Well, in December you don't have to mow unless you have cool season weeds or you planted cool season grass such as fescue or rye. And then you'll need to mow, but remember, don't bag it. Now remember to water your brand new annual plantings and other plantings that we did back during the fall to make sure that they stay wet. Those new plantings are important to keep wet, and remember to water before a freeze. Now this is the time of year that you're going to perform major pruning, and remember that you're going to there's 3 steps. The first one is dead and diseased. Second is crossing and rubbing, because that's an entryway for insects and disease when they rub together. And then third would be to open up the middle so you can get some light and air inside, and that's going to reduce insect and disease infestation. Also, when you're performing that major pruning, remember to remove the mistletoe. And you've got to go back at least 6 inches to a foot behind where that mistletoe is on the tree or shrub, because it actually roots into that limb and sends out roots. They're hyphae, they're not roots, they're a fungus. So remember, you've got to remove that section in order to remove the mistletoe. Remember to spray dormant oil on your red oaks, crab apples, and camellias, and that's going to prevent insects and diseases next year. Now remember to fertilize your pansies and other winter annuals that we work so hard to get in the fall. They are growing and we do need to fertilize them, so remember to use like fish emulsion, Super Thrive, and kelp. That's a great way to keep them growing all winter long. Remember, you can still plant shrubs, trees, and wildflower seeds because they will grow and put out roots all winter long and then be ready to jump out in the spring and not have to provide all those nutrients to put down roots before they have to put out leaves. Don't forget to mulch all the bare spots and newly planted areas because we want to protect those little root systems. It acts as a blanket in the winter, and also in the summer. It'll keep it cooler in the summer and warmer in the winter, and it prevents weed growth. So mulch is our friend. Be sure and use it. Today we're going to work with Spathiphyllum, sometimes known as peace lily, and you usually get these as house plants, and that's because they won't grow outside, it's too cold. But they have white flowers, and this one has gone downhill or declined because it was planted in too big of a pot. So we're going to actually downsize it into this smaller pot. And then we're going to take this one, because see how wilty it is? I have to water it at least twice a week. So it's time to repot it into this larger pot and take this one and put it in a smaller pot. So now we're going to remove this one from its larger container. So I'm just going to keep breaking it up until I see there we go. There's a nice white root. You can see these older roots. Feel of them, and they're still plump. And we can see our new little white roots coming out. So you can see how much was being wasted. So you could see it was rooted all the way to the bottom where it would be too wet, and then dry at the top so it didn't know how to act. So what we're going to do is take it, and we had a large hole in this container to alleviate soil from just sifting out on the floor or into the pot, into the drain dish that you put underneath it. I found a piece of just wood that kind of blocks the hole so all the dirt won't fall out. Now we're going to put a little bit of soil in the bottom. And then put our viable roots in. shake it in there loosely because we want the roots to be separated, and by shaking it, moving it around as we plant it, we're disseminating or distributing the soil around all those little roots. And then around the edge. And remember to always leave a lip on the outside edge so that you've got room. Make sure he's standing up straight. Don't worry if you break a leaf. It's going to grow many more. And we probably just increased its lifespan because now the roots know how to grow. So this is the container that we actually removed this small spath from, and we've gone through and we can reuse this soil. We're just taking anything with a salt buildup, see the white, we're taking that out, and then any big clumps. And now we're going to take it and we'll mix in some newer soil. And we want to make sure that we leave plenty of room for this new one. Now then, I'll show you why we were having so much problems keeping it wet. Look at that root system. So you can see that this little baby really needed our help. So we're going to loosen its root system up. Just a little bit. Put it in. And just rotate it as you're going.
And say, okay, and remember?
And remember that you want it nice and even. But we still need to leave a little lip to hold the soil. You just merely settle it in. And it's still just a little bit wilty, but after you water it, it's going to pick it up. And you need to, when you water your new plants, put them in a dish and let them soak up water from the bottom as well as the top. Well, that's our December edition of Let's Get Growing, so keep growing on and remember, feed the birds.